With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sister. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. Dressed in all black like the Omen, man. That means I'm the bearer of bad news. And look, we already knew this, but eventually we knew this day would come. We knew that the prodigal son would return home and he would not have nice things to say. Did we expect everything that was said? Hell no. I mean, Trent bared it all. Let me first go back and apologize for no Redskins Nightly News on Thursday. It was Halloween, as you could imagine. Very busy day. Had to take the kids trick-or-treating. And so I thought I would be able to fit it in. That's why I didn't forewarn you. By the time I got back home, Thursday Night Football had already started to take place, so I needed to play catch-up there, and I never got back around to it. Thought I was going to have time to do it today, and then I realized I had a lot of stuff going on today as well, so I figured it'd be easier to just do two separate videos because really that's all we want to talk about. To hell with the game on Sunday. There's only one reason we even give a damn about that game, and we'll talk about that on a separate video. But yesterday's transaction, and really it's the dialogue between Trent and the team, and everything that took place was wild. And I think we see where this is going, and the Redskins have countered with a move, and we'll talk about all those things. But before I get to any of how I perceive this audio that you're going to hear, I'm going to play the Trent Williams interview in its entirety. The media was able to meet up with him at his locker in a nice little media scrum. So before I play it, I want you to first ignore all of the noise in the background. I know it's hard. It's a lot of distractions back there. They're playing ping pong. There's music. Look, he's in the locker room. These are the things that take place in the locker room. Secondly, I would like for you to refrain, those of you who are trolls, from talking about why are they playing ping pong in the locker room? Why are they having fun? Why aren't they in their playbook? Why aren't they watching film? They're 1-7. Bruh, stop. Okay, why aren't you at work? Why you got your rent due, you got your cell phone bill due, car insurance, car note, all of that's due. Why are you playing Call of Duty or Madden at home? I could ask you the same question. So please miss me with the why are they relaxing with their time off? Stop, okay? So those are the two things I just want to get out of the way right now. The next thing you're going to hear is Trent Williams' audio at his locker from yesterday, when the media had a chance to talk to Trent and he made himself available. And boy, did he ever. Trent pretty much laid it all out there. There's a lot to really comb through here. So put your listening ears on if you haven't heard it. If you've already heard this and you don't need to hear it again, then you can just fast forward to the part where I give you my opinion on what was said. And I'd like to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section. But for those of you who haven't heard, here it is, Trent Williams and his media scrum yesterday in its entirety. Enjoy, and then come back afterwards. I've got a lot to say about what Trent had to say. Take a listen.
Trent, first off, just tell us a little bit about your decision to come back, kind of the emotions that maybe went into that, or the finances as well.
I mean, it's a combination of everything. You know, obviously I didn't want to just give a year away.
How are you feeling physically?
I still got some things from the surgery, but getting better.
When was the last surgery that you had? What was the procedure, the amount of recovery time you went through?
The third and final surgery was in June. Recovery time wasn't as bad. It was one of the more of the minor surgeries of them all. But
the holdup is a little bit about the helmet. Was that the first time that you tried a helmet on before you came back here? What do you need from the helmet in order to say that you could go?
I don't know, but yeah, it is the first time I tried the helmet, obviously since surgery.
Trent, there's been a lot of talk about why you were away. From your word or from your mouth, why were you away? Why were you holding out?
Why was I holding? I mean, like I said, it's a combination of things. What I went through health-wise took me away from the game for a minute anyway. So, but when it pertains to that, just that and the contract status was a was a thing as well. Obviously playing with no guaranteed money, I don't think any premier player will want to do that, especially not in the game that we play today. So,
do you expect to play here again now that you're back here? Do you expect to play?
We'll see how this helmet thing turns out, but like I said, I'm here.
Sure. What is your tell us about the health situation and what it actually was? There's been varying reports on it.
It was cancer. I had cancer. I had a tumor removed from my skull, attached to my skull. And it got pretty serious for a second. I was told some scary things from the doctor. So, it was definitely nothing to play with. It was one of the things that changed the outlook on life.
When did you first approach the doctors here about that, and when did you eventually get that diagnosis?
Probably like 6 years ago.
When someone says, why wouldn't you go get your own personal consults?
Oh, Trent, you said 6 years ago?
Roughly 5.5. Ooh.
And then when did
Coach Shanahan last year?
And so then it just, what happened? 6 years.
Yeah. It was, I guess somebody took the time to actually realize, try to see what was really going on there. Football was more important. And to me, it was more important too. I was told it was something minor, so I didn't really question it. But the lump continued to grow over the years, and it was concerning, but it was no pain involved. And if I'm being told by the very people who, I put my career in the hands of, they're telling me that I'm fine, then I'm fine. That's how I looked at it.
So at what point did you go elsewhere or find out you weren't fine?
Well, I didn't go elsewhere. I got the team to finally get what I thought was a cyst extracted, and when they did, they found out it wasn't a cyst. It was a piece of a tumor. It was DFSP is what the cancer is called, a very rare soft tissue cancer. So they realized that it was that, and then obviously 5 years later, it grew substantially than what it was when I first brought it.
Where did you go to finally get that taken care of?
I went to their doctors in L.A.B, and that's when I got the diagnosis. And then shortly after, I think the diagnosis that they gave me at the beginning, they kind of underestimated it, and it was far more advanced than they had realized. And I don't think they realized how long it was there, the doctors who seen me. So they had to send me somewhere else because it was obviously too much for them. So that's when I ended up going to Chicago.
Is there is there a kind of prognosis with this? Is everything fine now, or what happens now with this?
Yeah, obviously the nerve damage in the scalp has come back on its own. Every 6 months, just go get checked, make sure it don't come back.
What's your response?
Do you want to play football?
I love football. Football has done everything for me in my life. It's all I ever known. This wasn't something that happened on a football field, but so my distaste with football I don't have any. I still love it. It's still a game. I'm here, but I just feel like things could have got handled a lot better, and it obviously got us to this point. No, it's not trusting.
Trent, until this point, we haven't heard from you or from anybody officially representing you. Why did you decide to go that path rather than at some point speak up and say things are kind of similar now?
Well, I had a discussion with the people who I thought needed to hear it, and I covered that base. I didn't feel like I had to involve everybody else into my personal business because, I told the decision makers exactly what was going on. And so I didn't want to just add the whole media aspect to it, and I wanted to respect the organization as well, because I have a ton of respect for Dan and what he's done here, and I love him to death. I don't have any ill will towards him. And I don't look at it as being his fault. So my words at that time, as much anger as I was feeling, it would have got taken out of context. So
does that mean you could still play here again with the Redskins?
Like I said, I'm not gonna make a.
When you say you don't trust the organization, what is it then?
I ain't gonna. Well, you say organization. It's just there's some things that happen that it's just hard to look past. And if I'm just being completely honest with you, that's just what it is.
Did they tell you they would fire somebody if you wanted them to?
Those conversations, I'm gonna just leave between us. At the end of the day, I don't want. It's a human aspect of business as well, and I don't want anybody's job in my hands. And I've been in the locker room 10 years with these people, so there's more than just a colleague, and they have kids and they have families, so it's not up to me to decide who should go and who should stay.
When
Trent, what's
you
the
say another
relationship
organization, is that Bruce? Is that the medical staff? Who is that?
I can't say the name. It's whatever. You can kind of draw the conclusion if you want.
How much have you been watching these guys while you've been waiting? What did you think of Jay getting fired?
Oh man, this is still my team. Like the guys in here, I love them to death. I talk to them on the daily. I watch every game I could. I support them. Of course, I wouldn't support any other team. These guys are my family. The guys in his locker room. But it was. I hated to see Jay go. I felt like maybe I played a part in that. Maybe if I was here to help, maybe win some games, then maybe his job would still be intact. And but I felt that way because I personally love Jay. Like I love him as a person. So I didn't want to see him go. But it's business.
Did you address the
between
team?
you and Bruce be repaired?
Say that again?
Can the relationship between you and Bruce be repaired?
Next question.
What is your counteraction to it? You say guaranteed money, no player wants to play without that. To those that say you're guaranteed kind of came on the front end of your contracts.
Well, front end is passed. You got to go out there and line up every day. So if you want to look to what I was paid, why don't every other player is judged like that? Aaron Rodgers paid a boatload of money. He's still getting paid. Same as Russell Wilson. There's a ton of people, premier players. I've represented this franchise in the Pro Bowl the last 7 years. So, to me, I would think that would be good for something.
Did you want more? Because next year is not guaranteed. You also
This
saw
year's not guaranteed.
Right. So did you want more years or just more guaranteed money right now?
It never really even got that deep into discussion.
So then, if this medical thing hadn't happened, would we still be in the same spot? Would you still be as disgruntled with your contract?
Yeah, the medical just added a different aspect to it. The contract is what it is. It's 10 times paid with no guaranteed money. And, it's a physical game. Like we watched number 11 go out last year and he hasn't been back. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind every time you step on the field. So, I have a family to take care of as well. And we haven't had the best history with the way medical stuff has been handled here. And if I go out there and sustain any type of injury under a contract that's not guaranteed, they can do what they want with me.
Trent, do you feel like in some ways some of the stuff you're talking about with the medical things, also you're speaking up for other players who maybe don't have that same voice?
I'm speaking up from my experience, and if some people can, relate to that, then I'm pretty sure what I'm saying they probably feel the same way.
Based on the medical and then the physical aspects, what point do you think you could have been able to step onto the field this year and play open week one, or at what point?
Say that again?
Based on the medical and the physical things that you've been dealing with, at what point this year do you think you could have stepped onto the field week one, or at what point?
I haven't passed physical yet, so I can't say I would step on it week one, But week 8, and I haven't passed the physical, so to speak.
So supposedly there's been a report that they passed you in the physical except for the helmet. So in terms of if they can resolve the helmet aspect, everything else is good to go.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I thought I passed the physical. I met with the doctor to sign off on everything. I went to try on a helmet a few hours later. It was a discomfort. I just had the whole head opened up. I lost 30% of my scalp. So it's not gonna feel great. It's gonna take some time. So I guess they kind of seen it and got impatient with it. I don't know.
How many helmets have you tried?
2.
Did you ever think about retiring after all this?
No.
Do you want to be traded?
You've been fined a lot. Have there been conversations about them coming after that money?
Coming after it?
Yeah.
They got it. What did they come after? They kept 8 games, Chick. They got the money. They probably still come after it, I'm sure. Whatever, CBA is. A lot of loopholes, a lot of different angles they can attack, so who knows?
You said you didn't talk to the team, but what has there been reaction and talks with you as you come back?
Everybody welcomed me with open arms, my teammates. Like I said, I've always kept a good rapport with them. Even during the times I wasn't here, I always was talking to them every day.
Where would you like to play? Are you surprised that you weren't traded?
Surprise? No. When you give them 48 hours to strike a deal, it's probably not going to happen. And I felt like that was kind of done to try to embarrass me, so to speak, you know, because try to make it feel like, you know, nobody wants you, you're not good enough for us to trade for, you know, so I feel like that was more so the play than it was to actually try to get me moved.
Can money fix this, or guaranteed money fix this now?
I ain't asking them for a dime. So, I mean,
What do you think can fix this?
who knows, man?
We first knew effectively that you were holding out at the mandatory minicamp. At what point did you know, though, that this was going to happen, that you were going to go down this path?
I had already notified the team. It wasn't a surprise to them.
At what point did you notify the team prior to the minicamp?
3 weeks before.
So do you recall if it was like before the draft?
Minicamp, so
minicamp.
Had there been a thought that maybe this had been kind of simmering with you even at the end of last year going into the offseason? Was this a thought at all in your mind that maybe even back in December or January that you might feel like you didn't want to come back?
No, never. I mean, we had, you know, conversation or so about the guaranteed money or lack thereof, but it was never me thinking that I would be in any other organization, not in December.
When did that change? When did kind of the dynamic of this whole situation change?
I mean, we kind of we let it get to this point, you know. I mean, my number had to change, you know. Like there was no communication. So
I still call you.
Yeah, you know, my dogs call me all the time, but you know, there was no conversation with me. So it's like, I wasn't wanted then, why would I be wanted now? You get what I'm saying?
What were the emotions walking back into this building?
A lot of emotions. I'm not gonna lie, I said it wasn't. It was a ton of emotions, you know. I almost lost my life.
I even got you a bag.
Like, seriously, like, I almost lost my life. Like, it was you 30, coming off 7 straight Pro Bowl, and the doctor tell you get your affairs in order. It's not going to sit well with you, you know, and it still doesn't. And it's still, even thinking about it's a scary thing to go through, you know. Think of how you can describe to your 9-year-old, 5-year-old that, you know, daddy might not be here. So it's tough.
So those emotions, as walking back into a building you'd spent your whole career in, were almost like more dread than they were positive reflection in any way.
Yeah.
Was that the tipping point for you then? Because you're a guy who's played through a lot of injuries, played through, you know, sacrifice for this organization. Was that sort of?
Yeah, because I feel like I did sacrifice a lot. Man, I played, I don't know how many games with my damn kneecap just popping out of place at will, you know, and I didn't do it for me. I did it for them, you know. And, you know, I just expected the same type of respect back.
Just to clarify, when you said cancer, like there were some reports that it was non-benign. Like, was there cancer or was it just a tumor?
No, it was
Just
cancer.
No,
Yeah,
just clarify.
DFSP, you can Google it. I don't know, like I said, y'all didn't hear from me. I don't know where,
Sure.
you know, reports of it being benign or, you know, no, it was cancer. I was lucky. I was lucky. We told them 5 years ago, but we literally caught it within weeks of it metastasizing through to my brain and to my skull. So.
Let's take a couple more. Did you have to do anything else besides surgery for it or anything?
Extracting it was the only thing they could do. I mean, doing radiology on it would have put a cap on my life. I think 15 years, I think is the most I had after I would have started chemo. So I had to cut it out.
Do you think the team's actions were vindictive towards you?
I think it turned that way. I don't think it was in the beginning, but I think, you know, it became a power struggle. It became, no, we're not going to fold for you as a player, because obviously that would make it seem to every other player that that's how they, you know, business done. And I get that part of it, you know. But I do think it did turn that way over time.
How much time did you spend in Chicago in the hospital?
Maybe close to 2 weeks.
Did team officials visit you there?
I didn't even have a ride home.
I would say, did team officials help you get to and from meetings with your family?
No.
How much when you?
No, they got me there, but after the surgery, I didn't, you know, I had to find my own way back and to and from, you know, thereafter.
But nobody here visited you?
B Hall came. B Hall was in the area. He actually stopped by, like, you know, I think day before I was getting released from the hospital.
Trent, arguably the best players in this team for this whole decade. You're a guy that a lot of people talk about being a Redskin for life, things like that. What does it say about this organization that you feel this way about them?
I mean, I ain't. It's up to everybody to make their own opinion on that. But I mean, the organization has done a lot for me over the years, so I am grateful. Like I said, that's why you didn't hear from me, because I knew everything I said would have been taken out of context. And I'm pretty sure it still will. I know they're not going to play the part of me saying I got a lot of respect for Dan and what he's got going, but I told him that, so.
Why through all this do you still have that respect for him?
Because, I mean, it wasn't his fault. He's not down there in the training room, or it's not on him. I mean, I don't think it's on anybody. I had a very rare form of cancer. I think my displeasure comes from how long it lingered and how it, how it was neglected, how it almost cost me my life.
Let's take two more.
When you said that you first noticed this like 6 years ago, I mean, did you bring so you've been bringing this to their attention for 6 years? And he only took it seriously this past year? I mean,
Does that make you furious?
So where's your anger now from then?
Huh?
Where's your anger level now from then?
What you mean? I mean, I'm here now, so.
How'd you go through a physical with those same guys? I mean, what was the emotion of that for you?
It felt weird. Felt weird, exactly. It did. Something I didn't think I would have to do.
All right, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Trent.
Whoa. Now that's some heavy stuff, man. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. Okay. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. When Trent first reported back to Redskins Park on Tuesday, I wasn't expecting that type of interview when the media finally got a chance to get their hands on him. I was expecting Trent to be somewhat careful, measured with his words. I thought he was going to dodge a lot of questions, talk around questions, no comment, some questions, because you have to understand a lot of why Trent didn't speak to begin with is because if he couldn't prove what he was saying, then it could be viewed as slander by the Redskins. He could be sued for that. So he had to be very measured. I thought we were going to get a very passive-aggressive approach from Trent in this interview. And what we got was straight full-on attack from Trent. He pretty much laid it all out there, said everything that we thought about this situation, but wasn't really sure. We perceived things. We started to draw inferences because we never heard from Trent. Well, he filled in all the blanks, man, and I gotta say, god damn, that was some heavy stuff. Now, let's start combing through this thing. I'll give you my thoughts on it. I want to hear from you guys. Definitely leave it in the comment section, please. I'm dying to read your comments here now. I know there are some of you who could care less about this Trent situation. You've been over it. This isn't for you then. But for those of you who care about this situation, about this organization, and again, these types of situations is a black eye on the organization, and it's a black eye that the organization pretty much brought on themselves. I mean, seriously, it's like they punch themselves in the eye way too often. And this is one of those serious Miami style, sifting through the crowd in the club, back of the head, front of the eye type punches. Like, all right, so let's start with number one. All right. The man had cancer, okay? Let me repeat that. For those of you in the back that didn't quite hear what I said, let me say it again. The man had cancer, okay? So remember, this entire time we've been talking about how Trent didn't have cancer, but he was scared, and it was a situation that, and again, nobody actually had the full scoop. We were just taking bits and pieces from what other people were telling us because we hadn't heard from Trent himself. We didn't hear from his agent or anyone representing Trent, and everything pretty much that we heard was hearsay or someone close to Trent, like a D'Angelo Hall or one of these reporters or one of these insiders like an Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter just trying to get bits and pieces, or Jason LaCanfora. But we never actually heard from Trent. So the word on the street was, oh, he didn't have cancer. It was a non-malignant tumor that was removed, but it was scary nonetheless. Anytime you have your scalp opened up, that's a scary situation. But it wasn't cancerous. That's what we heard this entire time. Well, we were wrong. It was cancerous. That shit is scary. And as you heard him say, it's tough when a doctor tells you to get your affairs in order and you've got a 9-year-old and you've got a 5-year-old and you're thinking at 30 years old, this might be it for you. Think about that. And I don't know how old you are out there, but think about that. You go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, you got 6 months to live, get your affairs in order. How scary is that? Okay? Think about that for a second. Put yourself in his shoes. So the man had cancer, a rare skin cancer. I think it's called DP or DFSP is what it's called. I mean, are you kidding me? So, and again, it's like he said, it's nobody's fault that he had the cancer. It's the fact that it took so long for it to be discovered. That's the problem here. All right, the Redskins didn't embed cancer in this man's scalp, so it's not like he's blaming them for that. He's blaming them for not identifying what this was, or at least saying, you know what, Trent, we're not sure what this is. We think it's probably something benign and not really serious, but let's just take a look anyway. Let's take a piece of this thing and get a biopsy, and let's see what this thing really is, just to make sure. All right, just want to be on the safe side here. It's a small growth. We don't want this to turn into something major. Let's take a look at it. That's what the responsible thing to do would have been. That's not what happened, and so you can understand why he's upset. Thing number 2, all right? The disdain for Bruce in this interview is palpable, okay? The disdain for Bruce in this interview is overwhelming, all right? Trent went out of his way to make sure that you knew, and anybody listening to this knew, that he can't stand, does not respect, and wants nothing to do with Bruce Allen. If Dan Snyder thought the right thing to do was send Bruce to try and negotiate with Trent, it was the wrong person to send, because Trent wants nothing to do with Bruce Allen, and he made that abundantly clear. Never once said it, but you heard his responses, you heard the questions that were posed to him, and there were opportunities for him to shoot down any hard feelings or any type of ill will towards Bruce Allen, and he would have none of it. You heard him laughing at certain situations that were posed to him regarding Bruce Allen. He said there's no trust between him and the Redskins. And really the guy at the center of that, along with the medical staff, is Bruce Allen. And I think a lot of that stems from the contract, because we know Bruce handles the contracts here at Redskins Park. And so I think along with Eric Schaefer, but Bruce is the one in control. Eric just makes the numbers dance. All right. Bruce is the one that says, yeah, go ahead and make the numbers dance, make it work so we can give this guy this contract or that contract. And so I think his biggest gripe with Bruce is that he's untrustworthy. As we all know, I told you the Prince of Darkness is as untrustworthy as it gets. And 2, that Bruce didn't want to ante up. He feels like, look, I'm a 7-time Pro Bowler. I'm the only All-Pro you got on this team. I'm the only guy really that has been of substance for this team over the last decade. I know a lot of you are going to say, Ryan Kerrigan, go right ahead, knock yourself out. But for me, the one dominant player on this team has been Trent Williams. When Jordan Reed is healthy, he was the other guy. Outside of that, we haven't had one. So I think he felt like, and he said it, you know, a guy of my stature shouldn't be playing on an unguaranteed contract. Simple as that. There is no such thing for a guy of my stature. Aaron Donald isn't playing on an unguaranteed contract. Aaron Rodgers isn't playing on an unguaranteed contract. The list goes on and on and on and so forth and so forth. So I understand where he's coming from there. And as he mentioned, Alex Smith tore his knee to shreds. But guess what? Alex Smith had insurance. Why? Because he had guaranteed money that the Redskins couldn't get out of. So that's why, trust me, if Alex Smith would have shredded his knee and there was no guaranteed money attached to that, he would have been gone the week after his surgery, okay? So trust and believe that Trent has a gripe there, but just know that this guy cannot stand Bruce Allen, okay? And if you couldn't hear that in the interview, we weren't listening to the same interview. All right, number 3. I feel like the Redskins' perceived negligence in this situation really escalated how this all played out and escalated and exacerbated this whole problem. So what I mean by that is I think this was a salvageable situation. Listening to Trent talk, when he went into the offseason, the biggest issue was the contract. Nothing else. All right, at that time, he didn't know that he had cancer, all of that good stuff. But I think where this thing turned ugly wasn't when he found out he had cancer and that growth on his scalp was in fact cancerous this entire time. The team had been telling him, the medical staff had been telling him it's not that serious, and it turned out to be really serious. It wasn't the fact that this was cancer, which was a pretty big damn deal, okay? It was the fact that after he found out it was cancer, the Redskins didn't respond the way that you would think they would with a guy of Trent Williams' stature within the organization, all right? Trust and believe that if Tom Brady had this same procedure, I'm pretty sure Patriots officials, probably the owner himself, would be up at the hospital every opportunity that he got if he was in the country to make sure that Tom Brady was as comfortable as he needed to be and he was okay, and when the surgery was over, that he'd have transportation home, okay? I'm pretty sure that guys that have the stature of a Trent Williams in those respective organizations around the league, all right, and it doesn't have to just be a quarterback, all right? There are guys with the stature of a Trent Williams on other teams that would have handled this situation a lot differently than the Redskins. There was neglect on the part of the Redskins. Trent felt neglected. He felt alone. He felt like the team did not care about his well-being. He felt like he had put his body on the line. He had risked his body for this team. He talked about his kneecap popping out of place back and forth all the time and how he would continue to play. And we've seen Trent gut it out. Okay, we all remember the Thanksgiving game versus the Dallas Cowboys a couple of years ago when a man left the game in an ambulance and he was already hurt coming into the game and he left the game in an ambulance, okay? And I get it. The Redskins have done a lot of things for him throughout his career, including sticking by him and giving him new money fresh off of being suspended for weed. I understand all of that. Trent himself acknowledged all that, said, look, this organization has done a ton for me, which is why I didn't come out publicly, because I didn't want the backlash to come to the organization because, again, I'm not out to get the organization. I just want out. That's essentially what he said. He didn't say those exact words, but he just said, look, I just don't trust these guys anymore. I want out is what he essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing. But I think the Redskins, had they took care of Trent after he found out that he had cancer, I think there could have been a situation where this could have been salvaged. And I think that, yeah, it was going to take some new money. You heard Trent. He wasn't going to play under the current structure of his deal. He was going to warrant new money. However, I think at this point, had the Redskins realized where this situation had gotten to and where it was going, had they acknowledged that, had they taken care of Trent and they offered up a new contract, I think Trent Williams would still be here playing for the Washington Redskins. And I think it was the negligence, the pure negligence and the perceived negligence, because we don't know exactly how bad it was. But if you listen to Trent, and I'm taking him at face value because the organization doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from me. They don't deserve it. So I'm taking him at face value. If they didn't check on him in the hospital, if they didn't make sure he had transportation from the hospital, and he said they didn't reach out to him. This entire time that he's been sitting out, they didn't reach out to him. They didn't try to establish dialogue and try to get him back. It seemed like they were done with Trent and they had washed their hands of the situation. And so I feel like this is all the Redskins doing, essentially. They put themselves in this position, and if they felt the way that they felt, that they were going to move on from Trent, they should have traded him a long time ago. This didn't have to play out the way that it did. Just listening to Trent, this didn't have to go the way that it has gone to this point. And lastly, I don't think this really needs to be mentioned, and I don't think I have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. This guy's never, ever playing another snap for the Washington Redskins. Just in case you thought there was a chance that the door was slightly ajar. That door's shut. He's never coming back and playing for this franchise. And I'm fine with that because in my mind, I told you guys back in like July, maybe August. I don't remember when I did the video, but I told you a long time ago, Trent's never coming back. And a lot of you didn't want to hear it. And I didn't want to believe it either. And I didn't want to admit it. But that's why I did the video, because I knew he wasn't coming back. Okay? I felt that in my spirit. And now it is official. We've heard it from Trent's mouth. Silverback said it himself. He sounded off. He is not playing for this organization. And he didn't say he wasn't going to play, but he had opportunities several times throughout the interview to definitively say, yeah, I'm willing to play for the Redskins, or yeah, if something gets worked out financially. The man said, I don't want a dime from this organization. All right. When asked about the money that he's due this year, he said, look, they already have the first 8 game checks. They're probably going to come after the rest of the money. I don't really care. I don't. I just want the accrued season is essentially what he said. I don't want the money. It doesn't matter about the money. It does, obviously, which is why he talked about guaranteed money, but he's talking about from a putting his body on the line standpoint. If I'm going to put my body on the line, I need guaranteed money. He's not playing. So he's like, I don't really care about the money. I didn't earn the money. I'm not playing right now, so I don't care about the money. I'm not putting my body on the line for the organization. So if they want to continue to take the money, so be it. All right, I just want to be here because I want the accrued season so I can get 1 year closer to free agency just in case the Redskins try to pull some bullshit in the offseason. Don't trade me, and I'm here again. I can just make sure that after this season, they can't do it again, and I'm out the door. So I thought this was a really riveting and telling media scrum that I think silenced all the naysayers. Anyone that was on the side of the Redskins, which I don't know how you could be at this point, but anyone that was on the side of the Redskins, anyone that wasn't pro-Trent, you may not still be pro-Trent, but at the end of the day, this was pretty damning, and I think this said everything that we needed to hear. If you were doubting why he was out, if you were one of those people that says Trent is being greedy or Trent is being selfish, have at it. After hearing that, I don't know how you could make that determination, okay? So with that being said, I want to hear from you guys. All right. I think everything that needed to be laid out was laid out by Trent very clearly in this interview. They asked him, did he want to be traded? He simply laughed the question away. If that doesn't tell you all that you need to know, then that should, again, they asked him a question about Bruce Allen, and he quietly said, no comment, next question. I'm just telling you. I didn't make this stuff up. You heard it yourself. So at that point, and then I think another piece of damning audio, and it was so quick, it was hard to hear it. But he was asked, is there any trust between you and the Redskins? And he said, there is no trust. All right, enough said. Checkmate. So leave it in the comment section. I know I'm not the only one that was blown away by this interview. What do you guys think about what Trent had to say? This is damning on Bruce's part. I mean, I still don't expect Dan to react to this, but God damn it, if Trent didn't pretty much say, pretty much tell you, yep, the medical staff is at the heart of this, and so is Bruce Allen's stinking ass. The Prince of Darkness is also a guy that I just can't stand, and he's a huge part of the reason why I'll never play for the Redskins again. So I don't know what more Dan needs to hear. Again, Dan doesn't care. Dan has shown us time and time again that none of this stuff affects him. And so it is what it is. But it does affect you. How do you feel about this situation? Leave it in the comment section. Cannot wait to read your comments. Man, that was some really heavy stuff, man. But in any event, I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. God damn, my man Trent pretty much left it all out there, man. I don't think we have to wonder any longer. So there it is. What do you guys think? I've got another video coming your way. Stay tuned for that. But in any event, I'm your man Louie T signing off. Until next time, like the video, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more content. And God damn, leave it in the comment section. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.